Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Sunday, July 20th. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far today. This is episode 572 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. For those tuning in on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe. Of course, appreciate all of those tuning in on all the different audio podcast platforms. And today we've got some more New York Jets news and notes to discuss. I wanted to start today's episode revealing my New York Jets offensive breakout candidates for the 2025 season. And a little bit later on, we will also react to and break down some latest information on some injuries with the New York Jets as we enter training camp. Veterans report on Tuesday. First practice on Wednesday. Cannot wait. Training camp is here. Football season is back, baby. I am fired up. Before we begin, though, I got to tell you about our friends over at Huga House. If you want the hat I'm wearing right now or any of their awesome collection of hats, make sure to check them out and use code BUBS for 15% off any purchase. Huga House has just released their Huga Athletic Association collection, which includes 7 different hats and a variety of different t-shirts. So check them out. Link in the description to get to their website. 15% off with code BUBS at checkout and get yourself some awesome Huga House swag. So here we go. Episode 572. Appreciate you all tuning in here on a Sunday night program, Sunday evening edition of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. Today, I wanted to break down some New York Jets offensive breakout candidates here. And an episode here I'll do in the near future as we get into training camp and things get rolling. I also plan on doing a defensive breakout episode as well. So stay tuned for that as the summer and training camp gets rolling here. But today we're going to start with the offensive side of the football. I have 4 players, 2 kind of fit under the same umbrella. So we'll break that down here in a little bit. But I want to start today. Offensive breakout number 1, Joe Titman, entering year 3, 24 years old. You know, Titman's had a little bit of an interesting offseason, right? It started a couple months ago when New York Jets began OTAs, and we heard that there was going to be a center competition between Josh Myers, who, of course, the New York Jets signed in the offseason, and Joe Titman. And I never really bought into that center competition. I think that is more of a just something that's kind of being thrown out there, something that Glenn is doing or trying to say that is happening, but I really don't think there is actually much of a competition happening. I know that's what the Jets are preaching. It's all competition, everything on the depth chart's written in pencil, but the discrepancy between Joe Titman and Josh Myers really isn't even close, and there is no way, in my opinion, and I think most Jet fans agree on this, that Joe Titman should find himself even in a remotely close competition with Josh Myers. He should blow him out of the water. No disrespect to Josh Myers, but Joe Titman is a lot better than what Josh Myers brings to the table. And in fact, Joe Titman, in many ways, has already proved himself as a very, very good center in some areas, already a top 10 center in the NFL. And I believe you enter this season with a breakout possibility where he could potentially insert himself into maybe breakthrough as a top 7, top 6, even into the top 5 here. And I expect a big year out of Joe Titman. I expect a big year out of this New York Jets offensive line in general. All right, Pro Football Focus, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. They ranked the New York Jets offensive line inside the top 5, or inside the top 10 rather, entering the 2025 season. You look at the interior of this offensive line, it was one of the better units last year. And while Joe Titman did have some bumps during training camp last year with the snaps, this was a guy that went out there and put together a very productive season. And in many people's eyes, again, is already a top 10. PFF already views him as a top 10 center in the NFL. Most have ranked him right around the number 9 spot in the NFL with a potential breakthrough, and I think a chance to break through as a top 5 center in the NFL this season in year number 3 at 23 years old, where he can take a big jump. You look at Joe Titman's numbers last year, very productive season, 73.4 overall grade. That was 9th among all centers. He had a 77.3 run blocking grade. That was 8th. He had 5 sacks allowed, 23 pressures, 97.9 pass block efficiency, which was 17th in the NFL. He had a 3.44% pressure rate, which was 13th in the NFL among centers. And his run blocking grade was 77.3, which ranked 8th, as I mentioned earlier, in the NFL as well. And I think the run blocking grade is something really to note, and why I kind of just mentioned it twice there. This is going to be a New York Jets offense that is going to be a run-first offense. They are going to be a ground and pound behind Justin Fields, Breece Hall. You've got your two-headed running back duo behind Breece Hall and Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Is both of those guys, hint, hint, who we'll actually get to here soon in this episode. Both of those guys eye a nice, significant year 2 jump. Titman fits what the New York Jets are going to want to do from a schematic standpoint up front on the offensive line. Not only just how good he's been as a run blocker, right? The pass blocking could use some improvement, and that's what's ultimately going to make the difference in him becoming a top 7, top 5 center in the NFL, right? 5 sacks, 23 pressures. Can those numbers drop a little bit from last year? Can the overall pass blocking grade from 63.1, which was just about right at the average mark, can that become above average? Can he get into the top 20 among centers, qualified centers in pass blocking grade? Right? I know the pass blocking efficiency was up there, right? 17th. If he improves a little bit as a pass blocker and the run blocking continues to be a strength, and this is a New York Jets team that goes on to run the ball well in 2025, a lot of it's going to be on the back of Titman. I found this stat really interesting and why I think he is poised in a way to have a breakthrough year. You look at some of these zone run concepts that you expect the New York Jets to run. The Lions last year, where Tanner Engstrand is coming from, sort of the general blueprint that we have all brought up about what this Jets offense could look like in terms of schematically. The Lions last year had the 4th highest outside zone run rate in the NFL. You look at Joe Titman, an interesting note on that. You expect to see some of that this year from the New York Jets. Titman last year had a 92.9 run blocking grade since mid-2023 on outside zone runs. Since 2023. Not since just last year, but his entire career so far, mid-2023, when he fully took over the center job, on outside zone runs, he's got a run blocking grade of 92.9 over that time. Entering this year, you expect to see a lot of that from the Jets, considering the Lions ranked 4th highest in outside zone run rate in 2024. Titman's already been a good run blocker. I think he can reach another level there this year. And from a pass blocking standpoint, if he could take a step up in that as well, that's where he can really implement himself as one of the better centers. Forget just top 10, potential top 5 with a good year this year from Joe Titman. I have a high belief, despite the Josh Meyer center competition that I'm not buying into one bit. Titman is this team's starting center, and I believe is poised. Good year last year, take it to another level breakthrough this year. That's number 1. Number 2 here, I'm going to stay on the offensive line. I'm going to go year 2, Olujobi. 22 years old, entering year 2 here. 7 games started last year. total at left tackle, including 8 technically appearances, 7 starts if you go back to week 10. Olu had an interesting year last year for this New York Jets team, right? He starts the year sitting behind Tyron Smith. An interesting rookie year, but ended very, very strongly. And in many people's eyes, in my eyes as well, he could be poised for a massive, massive breakout in just year number 2, even though he didn't see the field a ton last year. The positives that he showed give you a lot of optimism and give you a lot of hope for what he can do this year. And obviously moving forward beyond 2025 as well, you hope you have your bookend tackles for a very long time in Olu and Membu. But last season, interesting year, right? He starts the year behind Tyron Smith. He then starts the season. His first real play time doesn't even come at left tackle. He begins the season seeing 159 snaps at right tackle, right, when Morgan Moses went down. And then he also saw some snaps at right guard, where he saw 37 before his next 336 snaps finally came at left tackle. So this was a rookie who was brought in to be your left tackle, sit ideally behind Tyron Smith, learn for the year. We all kind of knew at some point he would start playing at left tackle because Tyron Smith, we knew, was not going to play all 17. But then a couple weeks in, he's playing at right tackle, which the Jets, we started to cross-train him a bit during training camp. And then all of a sudden, here he is, your left tackle is playing right guard before he even plays a snap at left tackle. So an interesting start, playing 2 times out of position. But then finally late in the year, and you circle that Cardinals game when he came in week 10 for Tyron Smith, that's where you really saw the potential of Olu take over. And I want to break down those numbers because I think some people look at Olu's numbers as a whole and you count the right tackle and right guard appearances. But when you just take a look at the left tackle, which is what he is brought here to do and what he hopefully is here doing for a very long time as this team's blindside blocker, there's a lot of positives to take that set him up for a potential jump here in year number 2. Last year, when you look at week 10 through week 16, up until the injury that he suffered in the Rams game, those games, 336 snaps, again, all at left tackle, a 70.2 overall grade, 74.7 pass block grade, 64.3 run blocking grade, 12 pressures, just 1 sack allowed, a 96.9 pass block efficiency, and he had a 0.4% sack rate allowed. Those were his numbers from week 10 through week 16. If you narrow it down even a little bit more, week 13 through week 16, 212 pass block snaps during that time, didn't allow a sack, just 7 pressures, 4.58% pressure rate, which during those 4 weeks was 10th out of 26 tackles that played 150 snaps during that time. And he had a 97.7 pass block efficiency during that time, which was 10th among offensive tackles that played 150 snaps, which was 26. So top 10 in those areas. So he showed at left tackle a lot of potential. Just 1 sack and 12 pressures and a pass block grade of 74.7, which was impressive. And just overall, as a pass blocker, he impressed in a very big way. And I took some games by themselves and wanted to read you a few here. Week 13 against Seattle last year, 42 pass blocking snaps, no sack, no pressures. Week 15 against Jacksonville, 58 snaps, 1 pressure, no sacks. An 80.5 PFF grade in that game. He was the highest graded offensive lineman in one of the Jets' only wins last year. So just wanted to take, those 2 games plus his whole body of work at left tackle. It was very positive. And when he went down against the Rams, it was super unfortunate because he was one of the lone bright spots and one of the lone things to actually watch for and get excited about towards the end of last year, right? Team was eliminated, abysmal season. Watching Olu every single week towards the end of last season was one of the only fun parts of turning on the Jets because of how well he was playing. And the pass blocking, of course, was what really impressed. Now the next level for him is working on the run blocking. That was still a bit of a work in progress, had some growing pains in that area last year, which you kind of expected coming out of college. He was the best pass blocker in last year's draft, but he needed more seasoning as a run blocker. And here in training camp, continue to develop. And this year, if his run blocking is going to have every chance to take another step, because this is going to be a run first team. So Olu, I expect a big year from. Last year, he showed so many positives. This was a guy you didn't draft in the first round for nothing. Right? Came in, looked great last year. If he improves as a run blocker here in the summer and you go into the season and he progressively gets better, there's a real chance he takes a big jump in year number 2. And I expect that out of Olu. So that's number 2 here. Moving on to number 3. I just want to say this. Whether or not, however many games the Jets win this year, who knows, right? It's finally nice, though, to talk about the offensive line in a positive light. I mean, how many years have I come on here and talk about it just years and years and years of not even knowing what the starting 5 would look like going into training camp, or even if you knew the starting 5, having concerns about it. I mean, we're sitting here, we're talking about not just good players, but young players, breakout players. It's a breath of fresh air. So I just wanted to add that. Now moving on here to number 3. Technically 2 players here, but I put them under the same umbrella. I'm kind of labeling it running back 2 is my other breakout candidate for the New York Jets. To me, I could see either Braylon Allen or Isaiah Davis having a really productive year number 2 for this New York Jets team. Braylon Allen is the one that's gaining more steam, but Isaiah Davis can't go unnoticed either. And somebody that I really wanted to discuss as well, especially when you look at some of the numbers from last year and you peel it back, really impressive stuff. And we saw some flashes towards the end of last season from Isaiah Davis. And somebody that Glenn has mentioned, he likes him a lot. Glenn likes this entire running back room a lot, right? Those comments that he made at the owners' meetings, that sparked the Breece Hall trade stuff. Breece Hall still his team's number 1. I've said that for the longest time. But behind him, there's a chance either of these guys emerge. Maybe both of them do. I'll start here with Braylon Allen, though. Year number 2, 21 years old. I mean, he's still so young. It's crazy. He couldn't legally buy a drink during his entire rookie year last year. That's just ridiculous. Still so young. So much road ahead of him to get better and improve. Young player on the rise here. Interesting year last year for Braylon Allen. Really started strong. Was being used in the right way. Him and Breece Hall, that Jets run game, it was a nice 1-2 punch. It was looking good for the first really 4 weeks. And I actually broke down some of the numbers and the difference in what we saw the first 4 weeks towards the rest. But just looking at it as a whole last year, Allen, 92 carries, 334 yards, 3.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. His receiving numbers on the year, 19 receptions on 27 targets, 148 yards, 7.8 yards per reception, and a touchdown. His total numbers last year, 17 games, 111 total touches, 482 yards, 4.3 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Braylon Allen's season started really strong. But just as the Jets started to go south, first 4 weeks, they lost to the Broncos. They were 2-2. It felt like that's when Braylon Allen just Hackett, Downing, everybody in that offense just forgot Braylon Allen existed, and his role diminished for no real reason other than incompetence. You look at his week 1 to 4 stats last year for Braylon Allen. From a rushing perspective, 27 carries, 130 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. From a receiving perspective, 7 receptions, 57 yards, and a touchdown. He had that big touchdown against the Titans, that really nice grab, 8.1 yards per reception. His total numbers in the first 4 weeks of the season, 187 yards on 30 touches and a touchdown. I think the biggest thing really to take is he ended the year averaging just 3.6 yards per carry, which is a low number. And you want to see that get raised. But the first 4 weeks, he was averaging almost 5 yards a carry. Very impressive stuff. Breaking tackles, running through people. That big frame of 6'1", 235 was clearly noticeable. And then they just stopped using him. And the Jets offense, the team fell apart and outwent the run game, outwent all of that. And of course, we know the New York Jets, one of the worst rushing offenses in the NFL last year. I think what makes Braylon Allen such an intriguing option this year is you're number 2 in a rushing offense. You hope that the New York Jets can utilize him the right way. Some of these short down and distances. I mean, there were so many times last year where the Jets, it would be 3rd and 1, even 4th and 1 situations, and Braylon Allen wasn't on the field. That's the time you give it to him, that type of 3rd down, big body, run through people type of back. And he can this year kind of embody that David Montgomery role. David Montgomery and Braylon Allen, in terms of size and build, similar in just their size as a running back. Allen's 6'1", 235, taller, but David Montgomery, 5'11", 230, a little bit smaller, but weight-wise, in the 230s, more of your bigger body type of running back. And we know what David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs were, of course, able to do together in, Detroit. That's kind of the expectation. That's the possibility for a breakout year from Braylon Allen is you have your do-it-all back in Breece Hall, and then you have your thumper in Braylon Allen. And those two can complement each other really, really well. And you saw it a little bit last year from Braylon Allen, but that was it. It was 4 weeks and outwent the season and outwent Braylon Allen's success in a way. So that's the Braylon Allen potential. Engstrand, Montgomery, Gibbs combo. You get that from Allen. You get that type of 1-2 punch from him and Breece. Now, from the Isaiah Davis perspective, because I do think this is something that not many people have talked about much, he's another guy that Glenn likes a lot, at least early on, and somebody that actually put together a lot better of a season, I think, in the opportunities that he got that I think most people realize. 23 years old, of course, entering year 2, flying under the radar. Last year as a whole, 30 carries, 174 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, and a touchdown. He only had 30 carries. He didn't have many opportunities, but he was almost averaging 6 yards a carry in those chances. And another area that I wanted to discuss, you break down some of the other numbers, and I understand, right? Braylon had more carries than, right? Braylon had 92 last year. Breece, of course, had 209. Isaiah Davis had 30. So he was well short of the other two. But it is still something to note. Isaiah Davis's opportunities took full advantage of him last year. He had 3.6 yards per carry after contact. That was more than both Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Breece and Braylon both averaged 2.1 yards per carry after contact. Yards per carry in general, Isaiah Davis, of course, had 5.8. Breece had 4.2. Braylon Allen at 3.6. And another note here as well, Braylon Allen at a 26.7% explosive run rate, which is the percent of carries that go for 10 or more yards. Breece's was 12.4%. Braylon's was 5.4%. So he was first in yards per carry after contact, and explosive run rate out of all running backs on this team last year. And in his 30 carries, 8 of them went for 10 or more yards, including one of those 8 going for more than 20. So he took full advantage. And the burst and the ability to get to the second level and do damage when he hit the open field, it was clear. It was obvious with Isaiah Davis. He had a clear burst. He had a clear kind of spark to him that, boom, once he got through the line of scrimmage, he hit another level. And that's intriguing. You pair him with Breece, your do-it-all guy, and then you have that a piece in Isaiah Davis who is can pick up chunk yards, get to the second level. and just reach another notch from a speed perspective, it's intriguing as well. So do they elect for that thumper, that physical run through people? Do they elect for that more flashy speed, second level, reach another gear in Isaiah Davis? It's interesting. But I think Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis are two guys that you have to look for as potential breakouts behind Breece Hall in this running back room. So I kind of put them under that RB2 umbrella. Maybe both of them break out, but I think one of them will more so than the other. I think one of them eventually, maybe during camp, maybe early in the season, whenever it is, will eventually fully take over that number 2 role. Braylon Allen's the front runner. He seems to be going to be that guy, but Isaiah Davis is somebody that you have to still keep your eye on. So those are my breakout candidates: Joe Titman, Olu, Braylon, and Isaiah Davis. Quick injury update here that I wanted to just provide before we sign off, because training camp, of course, report day on Tuesday. So things becoming official. Jets announced their PUP list to open up training camp. Jermaine Johnson, of course, coming off the Achilles, placed on the PUP list. Irv Charles, coming off the torn ACL, placed on the PUP list. Aaron Smith was also placed on the active/NFI list. So that's another another note as well, a non-football injury list. So another roster note there as well. No real surprise with Jermaine Johnson. That's the most notable one here, of course. This is a Jets team that's going to take it slow with him, going to ease back into it. That's good for both sides from Jermaine's perspective and the Jets. It's smart that they are taking this approach. We have already seen videos from Jermaine Johnson running and looking ready to roll at one Jets drive. He's posted some clips on social media. He's ready to go. He's fired up to be back. So opens up on PUP list. No surprise. Ease him back into it. Get him back out there for, the later part of training camp. And then really, early part of the regular season for Jermaine, you're going to see them also kind of ease him back into it. He's not going to be week 1. It'd be great, but you expect week 1, first couple weeks, ease him back into it. And then really once the season gets going, once he's fully back healthy, you want to be smart with the Achilles, then you can really hope to see him take off here in year number 4 after such a promising 2023 campaign was followed up by, of course, the tough Achilles injury. So Jermaine, work him back slowly, smart by both sides. And it also just creates an interesting storyline as well. And I'll talk more about this tomorrow on my training camp preview, which will be up on Monday. So if you're listening to this on Monday, it might already be up already, because I know this episode's on a Sunday night. But first couple weeks of the season, you ease Jermaine back into things. You're going to need that third edge. Who is that going to be? Who's going to emerge early on and take over that role? Is it a Michael Clemens? I don't have much faith, but he's on the roster. Does Glenn get more out of him? Who knows? But is it a Clemens? Tyler Barron, the rookie, can he replace the Michael Clemens role? What do you get out of a Rashad Weaver? What do you get out of a Eric Watts, a Braden McGregor, the 2 UDFAs that made the team last year? Can any of those guys emerge? It's interesting to see how the rest of this edge room plays out. And even more interesting because some of those guys, whoever that is going to play a little bit of a bigger role earlier in the year before Jermaine fully gets back into the swing of things, which I expect him to do, after the first couple weeks. So that's the Jermaine Johnson Jets injury update there for you. So that's it. Another episode down. Again, reminder, Monday morning, tomorrow morning, we'll have our first player preview episode up Monday, Wednesday, Friday throughout training camp. Each one of those days, player on offense, player on defense, profile and projection for the 2025 season. So stay tuned for that. First 2 players will come at you tomorrow morning. We'll also have our camp preview tomorrow, full what to watch for, position battles, all that stuff. Talk about that tomorrow. Tuesday, we'll have report day content out. So we'll talk about that. Wednesday, first practice. We'll be here recapping every single practice. So training camp here. Content is going to ramp up. Cannot wait. Appreciate you all so much. Stay tuned. Until next time. JETS. Jets, Jets, Jets.